Hello, good afternoon and welcome back to a sun-kissed Brora here in Sutherland. I'm delighted to be joined by the club benefactor, Ben MacKay. Thank you for agreeing to sit down with me.
No problem.
Here we are, the day after Brora are back on top of the Breedon Highland League. Just talk us through your emotions of match day 34.
Absolutely phenomenal day, Fraser, for the football club. Huge crowd in, which was fantastic to see from all over the county, which again was particularly pleasing. We had people from the West Coast, Downers, Kinloch, Berrvie, Loch Inver, all over the county, and you can see there's a real growing of the support again and a real interest back in the football club, which is fantastic to see.
Now, let me take you back. Your first memories as a supporter. You grew up here, I believe, a local lad. Talk us through your kind of first memories of Brora Rangers.
Yeah, born and bred in the village. The Highland League at that time was a massive thing when you were a kid. Some really big crowds at some of the games we had here at Dudgeon Park. I can remember football special trains coming from Inverness and Dingwall for Ross County and Inverness Cali games, etc. And there'd be massive crowds. And Brora was a village that was probably over double the size it is now then, because it had quite an industrial past with the coal mine and the brickworks, etc. So it was really exciting days as a kid. I lived just over the wall at the back of the terracing there. I've climbed that wall more than once to get in for nothing. I'm not shy to admit that. Back in the day when we were all kids, with my pals. So yeah, always been fascinated by the football club and never good enough to play for it, but always been fascinated by it.
Was there any kind of players that you remember watching on?
Oh, absolutely. We had some fantastic sides. A particular period was we won the qualifying cup against Peterhead, and we actually won at Grant Street Park, where we're playing the cup final next week, which are particularly fond memories of that ground. We've won a number of cup finals there, but won the qualifying cup there, and some of the players there, there's 2 or 3 players from Golspie in that team, Hammy Hamilton, Robert Christie, etc. Brora players, Duggan Norris, Gordy Norris, Dave Jackson, centre forward, just a phenomenal football team. Donald Mackay was a particular favourite player of mine from the village, no relation, but he had a wand of a left foot, probably one of the best players, if not the best player ever to play for Brora back in the day. So fantastic memories.
And then you took it upon yourself, decided to get involved.
Yes.
Just talk us through the kind of last 12 years where you've been part of the Brora club.
Yeah, I probably, I went away and worked, and I was overseas working and doing different things in my life, and I always helped the club in the background. I bought shares in it, and I supported them. I gave them sponsor money, etc. And it didn't seem to be how much we sort of tried to help in the background. For 2 or 3 years, we were either bottom or second bottom of the Highland League. So I got convinced by a couple of pals to get more involved, and that was the sort of moment then 12 years ago where I decided that we didn't like being bottom or second bottom, so we were going to try and do something different. And there's no doubt about it in that we had to make some big signings to catch attention and get the right people here. And the first thing was to attract the right manager, because the manager at the football club is the linchpin of it all. So we managed to attract Davy Kirkwood as our manager down from Work Academy to Brora. He wanted the job, and he came in and did a phenomenal job in building a squad, along with Stuart Golobeck, of players. And within 2 years we were Highland League champions, which was a phenomenal journey for the village. So really, really exciting period back then.
Talk us through that first title win. It must have been such a proud feeling for yourself.
Oh, incredible. I was actually standing when we won the Highland League title with Sandy Matheson, who's been the groundsman here for over 50 years at the club, and very rarely leaves the village. But we managed to convince him to come to Keith on the last day of the season where we won the title, and I was standing beside him and won it, and he was in tears, I was in tears. It was you just looked around and seen people that had played for Brora, followed the club all their lives, small village, but had been so close to the club, and never won the Highland League and never dreamt they could win the Highland League. So to be able to be part of helping deliver that on behalf of the county of Sutherland, made me immensely proud.
And talk us through that. What do you think it has meant for the village?
Oh, it's been incredible, and you can see it again now. Actually, it's really, really interesting. When I first joined Brora, in life I'm probably too focused on winning, whether it be in business or in work, and sometimes you miss some of the enjoyment because you're focusing on the next thing. But these last few years you know, I've stood back and watched what it does mean to the community, the village, the county of Sutherland. It's Sutherland's football club. I always say that. It's not just Brora's football club. It belongs to the county of Sutherland, the football club. And you just see the joy it brings to so many people, brings them together in an environment where they all, you know, socialising, etc. It's it is the hub of Brora. Brora Rangers is the connecting piece of the whole village and the county.
It really has kind of put Brora on the map, the success that the club has delivered over the past 10, 12 years especially. Not just landslide title wins, but in terms of memorable moments, that beating hearts, of course, here in the COVID season, and going away trips to Kilmarnock as well, bringing massive amounts of supports that will make people think Brora is just more than a small village.
No, it's absolutely correct, and it is a beautiful village. You know, the golf course is renowned now with our groundsman James Macbeth. It is our partner here. He's the ground manager at the golf course manager at Brora Golf Club, which is phenomenal for the area as well. So no, the village is fantastic. But you just look at the last the period and the success we've had. It's 4 Highland League titles now. Some people say it's 5, but it's not. It's four real titles in my opinion. The COVID one, absolutely not. But 3 Highland League Cups. We're in another Highland League Cup final next week, and I think it's 7 or 8 North of Scotland Cups. And in a 12-year period, that's incredible. Gathering the silverware and the great thing is it's with different teams. We've had to rebuild the team 2 or 3 times. We had 7 or 8 people that were on that journey completely up until last year. Phenomenal players for this football club: Dale Gillespie, Martin McLean, Ali MacDonald, Joe Mallon. You go on, and they're just sensational players for this football club. And apologies for anybody I missed in there, but you just I look at those guys, and those guys were fantastic. But probably in the last 2 or 3 years, if I'm being honest, we needed to do something different and to recharge ourselves a little bit to be real challengers for the Highland League. So getting the chance to bring Stephen back to the football club was an opportunity to do that.
Last season, the pitch was a major talking point. We had to play our last few home games at our neighbours Golspie Sutherland. It was a great deal of help from them to help the club finish the season. A lot of time and effort was put into getting the pitch right for this season. How do you feel that's went? No,
here absolutely, that's a phenomenal thing. Our chairman and main sponsor, Edward MacKay, did an amazing job on the groundwork, gradient, taking all of the lumps and the bants, and levelling the park, putting the soil down, etc. However, we didn't get the drainage right. It was a different soil to the way we thought it was. So we were sort of advised that it would have been self-draining, and it wasn't. So we had to do some different pieces. So it didn't work the way we wanted it to work first time. But like anything in life, people were walking around with their head in their hands, thinking, oh, what a mess we're in and everything. But it was just a time to calm heads. We made it through the season, and we made sure that we'll never be in that position again. So last summer we brought in expert company from down south, and we've got an incredible drainage system now under the park. There's actually a pipe every metre horizontally, and there's 12-inch pipes longitudinally all the way down the park. And the problem now is actually holding water on the park. Hence, this season, close season, we're putting in a full sprinkler system, which I think will be the first one. I'm right in saying it'll be the first one in the Highland League. So not only will we have phenomenal drainage, we'll have the ability to water it whenever we want, and that should then make sure that the park is, that's it, put to bed for forever, hopefully.
You mentioned a rebuild, a massive overhaul of the squad, like you said, such club legends leaving in the summer, and hiring Stephen MacKay at the start of the campaign. What was your kind of thoughts going into this? Thinking, can we challenge again so early with this rebuild underway?
Yeah, to be honest, Ali MacDonald, our last manager, is a phenomenal servant, like I said, at the club, and a phenomenal footballer for the club, etc. Came in and took the manager's job for the first year, successful, won us a trophy, absolutely very, very successful. We didn't have the squad right to manage to challenge for the league title, but he had so much going on in his life. He was starting a family with himself and his wife. He had some just family stuff to deal with. He'd had promotion at work. He had just too much going on in his life. So he basically we had a conversation, and he asked to take time out and do that. So that was okay. So once I knew the decks were clear, myself and Stephen had a conversation. Stephen had intimated to me that if that job had ever become available again, that there would be an interest from himself. So I told him I was available, and within 10 minutes, without any discussions on contracts or anything, we'd shaken hands for Stephen to come back to Brora, and the remit was to get us challenging for the league title again, because I really wanted to do that. And I told him that this year I fully expected this year to be a transition year, no pressure. He'll tell you a different story, but that's the truth. No pressure at all. This is a transition year, and to be fair to him, he told me immediately, no, we're going to try and win the league this year, Ben. And the key part of that, to be honest, is if I have to really put my finger on anything, is obviously, Stephen drives a very, very disciplined ship, but the biggest piece has been the recruitment of not just Stephen, the whole coaching group. Stephen, David Hines, who does a phenomenal job behind the scenes with Stephen, is everywhere with Stephen, and then we brought in Jordan McDonald and Michael McKenzie to work with them, and between the four of them, they've managed to attract 5 or 6 players here this summer, which has made it almost seamless, the changeover of type of football we play, and you just done a phenomenal job. And when I look at that recruitment, really interesting thing, and I only thought about it in the last week or two, was a lot of these players all of them nearly were playing in the bottom half of the Highland League last year. They weren't in challenging teams that we'd signed, Connor Bantz was playing for Clark Academy. I think Dememini were 14th in the league. Michael Finnis came in from Rothes, who were low down the league. Gary Pullen came in from Wick Academy. Wallace Duffy, finished his thing with Inverness Caledonia Thistle as they were relegated. So really interesting in different paths that different people took to the club. And then Craig McKenzie came in from Forest Mechanics, and yesterday he won our Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year, and he's been sensational for us. So and there's been a couple of others as well. So here, Stephen's discipline, mindset, we're going to win it, and recruitment have brought us to where we are. And I just, what can you say? I don't think there's too much more you can say on that. It's just there's no way I expected us to be league champions this year at the start of the year, but here we are.
Yes, absolutely. Cup final next week against Fraser Borough. Just kind of give us a glimpse into what Brora is looking like towards the future. Yeah,
well, cup final next week will be another fantastic day for the football club. Absolutely, we're looking to win that cup final. Like I said to you earlier, we've got particular fondness of Grantstein Park. We don't lose many games at that park over the last 10 to 12 years. I can't remember a defeat there, if I'm being honest, in the last 12 years. So it's a park that we like to play football on. It'll be a great game. Fraser is a phenomenal football club in their own right. Very, very dangerous, as you see. We've had 2 games against them this season. Both games have ended 3-2. Both games the opposite way around. We've won at their place and they've won at our place. So that'll be a great day, and it'll take care of itself. Looking towards the future, we've now got playoff games to play, and Brora Rangers, contrary to all social media opinions and everything else, play every game of football they ever play to win, and that's what we'll be doing in the playoffs. We'll be playing to win. East Kilbride will be very, very tough. I know that, and for a fact, I know Stephen and the coaching staff know that. But we'll be getting in there with a mindset of winning both of those games and seeing where that takes us. And we'll follow that path, whatever it is.
Ben, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate
Fantastic.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.